Morning, everyone. This is episode 198. Jeez, we're getting close to episode 200, and in case you were wondering, we're not going to do anything special for episode 200. At least at this stage. We may have a change of heart, but for this point, episode 200 will just be another ordinary one. We have first-time listener/guest, Brian, and our old friend Kuze joining us. Just a production note for next week. If you happen to be watching from Australia, Australia goes off daylight saving this weekend, Sunday morning, and so the show will be at 9:30 a.m. for the Southerners. For us in Brisbane, it won't make any difference at all. Okay, so we'll be going shortly. Let me just tweet out.
You already start up Audacity here?
Yeah, Brian, could you start that rolling now? Just don't pause it. Just whatever you do, don't pause it.
It's already rolling and recognizing my voice.
Excellent. Good.
If you need to cut away, you can use the Hangouts mute camera and mic.
Yeah, that's true. Just and leave the audio. It's fine.
Yeah. Just
leave that going. Makes it easier to sync up. Last week I forgot to start recording myself till about halfway through one of the tips, which I had to re-record later. That was annoying. Right. Yeah, it was a bit seamless, kind of, except for Chill's noticeable silence for a good chunk of the show. And then suddenly he starts talking. It's amazing.
I always listen to the uncut versions on. I watch it on YouTube. I think it's way better. It's hilarious.
Yeah, maybe we should make that a Patreon reward. I'll think about that. Yeah, Patreon. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, we're still working that one out. Okay, Chill. All the
stream going. I'm still setting everything up.
That's fine. Yep, I'm in the Twitch chat as well as our chat.
Get my headset correct.
Yeah, I hope you have a Bonza day too.
Bonza day. Hope you have a Bonza day. Bonza day.
That means
I should give you their phone number so you can call in and listen to the Outback 1-800 number. It's amazing.
They actually try and put on an Australian accent?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a good one either.
Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, Outback. What is it? The Outback Steakhouse or just the Outback?
Outback Steakhouse.
Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah. Not an authentic Australian experience. Just saying.
I do like the food though. Some people can argue that, but I do like the steak and stuff. It's good to go.
We actually have them here as well. Yeah, they're just a steakhouse, so they don't try and be anything special.
Do they leave the Outback out and just put Steakhouse? Or does it actually say Outback?
It does say the Outback.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an American chain that's just here or whatever. I hope it's not an Australian chain that moved over there.
But the cooks at least are from there, so you would probably get, at least somewhat more authentic, I guess.
There is no authentic Australian food. That's the problem.
Well,
unless you count Aboriginal stuff like witchetty grubs and shit like that.
America's somewhat the same way, but I mean, I guess Southern cooking you can count as American food.
But then you guys are a lot older.
Right.
So, as a country. Alright, we're just messing about here. Right. Yep, I see you Chill in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I just need to get Audacity going. Everything else is good.
Alright, you two are rolling. Chill will be rolling.
Test.
I will be rolling.
Test. Need to be a little closer. Test. Okay.
And Jill, you ready to do your mini interview of Brian?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do it. Sam says the Outback Steakhouse sucked. I can't remember if I actually went there or not. I don't think so when I've been there. I've avoided it.
I mean, it's kind of hard to mess up. It's just basic foods,
Yeah.
Steak, vegetables, things like that.
I can guarantee these portion sizes are larger. That's pretty much a given than we would get here. All right, whenever you're ready, Chill.
Alrighty. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that boldly goes where no podcast has gone before. This is episode 198, being recorded on Wednesday, April 1st, 2015. And with us is our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
Just a little bit of silliness there. And with us today we have from the jumping videos and many other places, we've got Kuze, and we also have Brian, who's new to the show and a fan of the podcast. So, Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm playing the Shadowlands server. I'm a DPS on our raid team, our progression raid team. Stay thirsty. We are currently 7 of 10 in hard mode.
Nice.
We try as best we can to. We don't clear. We never go for really server first. We'll get there eventually. A lot of us are just professionals. Don't have the time to put in that they do. Whenever on the PTS, we kind of jokingly call ourselves casual core. But we've cleared all the Nightmare content up to the 3.0. And
Very
that's
nice.
about
And
it for game-wise.
Yeah, DPS, but what class?
I currently play Sork. I kind of jump around based on the group needs, and with the Sork's buffs and the raid buff, I switch to Sork.
Very cool.
Just out of curiosity, do you run any melee in your...
I do. I run the power tech, which kind of was amazing for 3.0 because I had to go through the really bad year or so of it.
Right.
Then I caught the nerf, and I'm on Reddit routinely complaining about how they've ruined the rotation, and people are kind of tired of hearing from me, probably.
I have seen some of those posts, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. Tell us about your site.
Tell us about my what?
About your site. About where you post things.
He's just talking about Reddit.
Oh, I just
Reddit?
do it on Reddit.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
I'm pretty. I'm on Reddit usually most of the day. Sometimes when I'm at work and we're not very busy, I'm sure work doesn't want to hear that. But it passes the time when it's slow, and sometimes I go on a little bit of rants about certain things, and I get downvoted my fair share.
All right, awesome. And what have you been working on this week?
This week we're farming DP Nightmare, DP Nightmare for Rancor mounts. Currently, we got another one this past weekend. Did Nightmare DF, got somebody their wings. Currently we're working on Master Blaster in hard mode, trying to get when you get to the hard mode, it becomes a dance of moving from one area to the other, and it's just learning the dance. We've done it 2 nights now. We're through. We're up to Kephas on TOS. Or Kephas, I mean, there he's coming back again. Up to Revan.
Right.
On TOS.
Wow, that's nice.
I haven't got a chance to play a lot since the server reset on Tuesday. The Rat Ghoul event's going on, but I have 100% on that, so it's not a big deal to me. I'll get in there when I can to get a couple extra tokens of the whatever they call it. Other than that, just fiddling around.
Nice.
That's
Well,
good.
you're well ahead of us in terms of the operations, that's for sure. We're 2 of 10 in hard mode, so.
Yeah, we should be asking you for advice on how to proceed.
There are better players out there than us, but like we said, we just try to get to it eventually. We're just a bunch of guys that like playing and put the time in where we can.
Do you guys, any of your teams stream that and capture it on YouTube?
They do. Our raid leader, who unfortunately works like I do, so he misses some nights. He streams on his Twitch account. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
But he does stream it when he's not with us.
All right. We'll have to find out that we'll add that to the show notes so people can see you guys in action.
We have a returning tank come back to the team, and he started streaming too. I'll find out what his is too.
Okay. That would be awesome.
Sounds good. All right, Kuze, how about your week? What you been up to?
It's been pretty good. So I've been playing since beta, and time to time I'll take a little hiatus and I'll do some other stuff. So I've been on a somewhat slight hiatus. Starting to get back into it now, especially listening to the Ootini War Room yesterday, which is really good. So it's got me looking at my PvP talents, and I really want to get ready for Season 5, so see if I can participate in that. As you can see, we got our T-shirts finally, the wife and I. She shrunk them a little bit, but that's all right. Looks better on her than me.
Yeah.
At least one thing with the hiatus, I never stop raiding. So when I always try to make every Thursday and Friday night to raid, because that's pretty much the best part of the game is raiding with friends. So I do make that.
It is fun. Yeah.
One good thing about being on hiatus is all the cartel items and stuff that I had in the bank are now worth 2 or 3 times more than they were when I was trying to sell them in the past. So I've made quite a decent amount of credits, 4 or 5 million credits, just from selling some of these stuff that I had in the past. A simple item that used to cost maybe 10,000 credits is now worth 100,000. So I mean it's great.
Nice. Nothing like a little rarity.
Yeah, and also with that, since I've made credits, I always like to spend them. So I've bought a bunch of cartel items or decos that I didn't have to update some of my strongholds, and I've done that. Ran a few dailies because my mission, besides to get into PvP Season 5, is to get my rep up. I never really concentrated on that, and I want to do that. So I started doing some dailies to raise up my rep. Other than that, it's been pretty good.
All right, awesome. Tio, how about your week?
Well, firstly, thanks to you, Chill, for sending me those in-game birthday gifts for my birthday last Friday it was. So that was, and to Belazar for in-game birthday greeting. That was most gratifying, thank you. And also thanks to Bill for sharing the wealth. He actually shared it with, I think it was the whole raid team and probably sundry others as well. Just sent us all a reasonable chunk of cash, so I can't say no to that. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, I told him I'd name a Tatooine room, stronghold room after him, like Bill's Lounge or something like that.
Awesome. And Bill and his wife, along with Chong and his girlfriend, will be at Star Wars Celebration. They'll be going to the community cantina there on our behalf, and we'll be reporting on that, as well as whatever else is happening at Star Wars Celebration. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. We'll have people on the ground. So, wish I could be there, admittedly.
There should be news of that just even in the regular news, like it should be covering stuff like that.
Yeah. The word is they will have the trailer for The Force Awakens, the actual real trailer, not that short teaser trailer they've done so far.
Right.
And will also be in the. So is it the next? What's the next Avengers movie? Christ, what is it?
That's 1 week. That's 1 month from today.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in front of that as well.
Oh, wow.
The actual trailer for Force Awakens will be played with that.
Huh.
But anyway, we should see it first at Star Wars Celebration. But anyway, raiding. Let's talk raiding. Firstly, in our own raid group, now I was only there for day 1, so I'll let Chill talk to day 2. But we did hard mode Sparky, hard mode Malifar, and then we played with hard mode Sword Squadron. That was the first time our group had actually looked at it. Overall difficulty really is roughly, in our opinion, pretty much there with Bulo. About the same, more or less. Hard to say which would be harder. It seems to be a dance. All the events that happen during the fight seem to be on a strict timer. So it's just a matter of, it seems, learning the dance. It appears healing intensive. Brian, would you confirm that, or do you think it's more that just people have to avoid stuff?
Our healer Kaya hates that fight.
All right. Good.
Kuze's our healer too, so yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't. If you use Star Parse, I don't know if you guys are into the
yes.
timers. Yeah, the timers are pretty accurate.
Okay. Okay. Do your tanks actually swap? Because we tried both strategies with the tanks
No.
staying on. They
Tanks do
actually
not swap.
okay. So they use Zor's strategy of just taunting, and then the tanks remain on their walkers throughout.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe, is there a reason for that? Do you think that really is better than attempting to do a tank swap?
With all the movement already going on, there's just one less moving part.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank you. All right. Chill talk today too. Now, I also raided with the random riders on both days, Thursday night and Monday night. Thursday night, just a quick run through Temple of Sacrifice, just in story mode, just to get that done. And then Monday was hard mode Malafar, and again, looking at Sword Squadron. This time we did try the tank swap mechanic, and yeah, it's sort of actually working out, but as Brian says, one less moving part in that fight. We're not really progressing too far before people start dying, so yeah. We'll get there. I get that we were definitely making progress, so it's just a matter of mastering it. Right, so rating. Aside from that, I actually did some leveling during the double XP weekend. I leveled my gunslinger all the way to 60. Now, he was a guy who had his progress through Force Alliance's Part 1 reset, which meant I had to do attack on, or the Korriban incursion again, but I couldn't do it solo. So Ari, we paired up, and with her 60, I think she had took a commando, and we just blew through that, and then everything else I could do normally. And so, yep, got him to 60. And then after that, this week, I've been leveling my operative. This is post double XP, so it's obviously a bit slower. And he is now just into 59. So I'll probably push him up to 60 in the next couple of days. So yeah, that'll be number 11 once I get my operative to level 60. And that's pretty much all my 55s. After that, it's lower level characters to work on, which will be cool because I enjoy the leveling process. So, yep.
Yep.
The slow
I have
leveling process?
18.
Wow.
I have 18
all right.
55s.
You win. How many of those were during 12 times XP, Brian?
4 or 5.
All right, that's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay, the only other thing to mention is Utini War Room, which, as Kuzu mentioned, sort of came out of nowhere as far as everyone was concerned. Bit of trouble finding a definite time, but the guys have got a solid recording day now at about 3 or 4 p.m. on Pacific time on Sundays. So the regulars will be Turg and Jacket and Pez. Now, Jacket is a new member of the cast. You may notice the audio qualities are a bit dodgy, but he is definitely he's fixing that. He's getting a new mic, so that'll be great going forward. He is an excellent addition to the group. If a little controversial, but we're actually going to address that in the next episode. So it's really good to have a very competent ranked PvPer in the group, and hopefully we'll be able to get more going forward just to bring in as guests. But Jacket should be a regular host of the show. He's even interested in editing. How about that? One less thing for me to worry about. So, yeah, expect the next Utini War Room in a couple of weeks. They are going to stick with the bi-weekly schedule. Anyway, that's my week. How about you, Chill?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Sorcerer War Room episode. That was a lot of good stuff, and it kind of reminded me of how to play against them as well, as well as if I want to pick up one of my sorcerers again. So that was good, and I think Turk did a really good job. And right, so let's see, for the Friday raid when you were out, we did a gearing raid. So we just did story mode, Ravagers, Temporal Sacrifice. Bill pretty much headed it up, and it all went quite smoothly. I think we had one or two poll issues, but yeah, overall it was quite smooth and it went very quickly. And yeah, so I was on my main actually, so I don't really have anything worth gearing up, and you need a couple of relatively well geared up people to get through it. So it was a lot of fun, pretty basic. I also kind of realized over the weekend that assuming you can stamp any gear into like the new wardrobe function, then green items might, certain green items might actually become quite popular as
Yep.
well, might become more
Very.
valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was looking and it's like, oh yeah, there's that sort of gunslinger cowboy hat look, and they're kind of hard to find nowadays because it's from like the old raids and first PvP season that you can't get anymore, stuff like that. But it happens to be on some of the green gear, so I thought, oh well, maybe I'll hang on to this and sell it if it becomes more valuable. So.
It also means some of
And,
the starter gear that we get just when we start out is actually, some of it's not bad. I'm thinking particularly of the Sork, who actually starts out in pants before they put him in a skirt. So imagine being able to keep the pants for a while. So,
Are you talking about on Rishi or like when you're
sorry,
going
the
up in
Sith
Rishi?
Inquisitor.
Oh, back in the day, like
Yeah,
like the
right
very
back
first
when you
look.
first start the character. Yep.
Yeah. There's a couple of characters where I actually kept a couple of those early looks just for fun, but not really having any real use for it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you can use them again.
yeah, that'll be
And that's
nice.
one thing I didn't sell on the GTN, and it's somewhat of a short tip before we get to them is I'm holding on to all my gear that I've gotten out of cartel packs and waiting for that to drop to sell it then, because I think the prices will probably go up a lot.
Yep.
Makes sense. Absolutely. All right, and I got back into PvP. Basically, the last few weeks I've been really pushing getting the gunslinger leveled up and then geared up and all that stuff. That took pretty much most of the time. Tried gunslinger PvP, but I didn't want to have to gear her up from scratch, and I wasn't necessarily enjoying it that much. So I just went back to the Merc Healer that I had been working on before that, and that character has about halfway to 2/3 of the way to being geared up, but so it's quite a ways to go. But I'm still enjoying it, and it's been nice doing the healing thing because I've always done tanking and DPS in war zones in past seasons, so it's fun to do the healing thing. And so even the losses are kind of fun just because it's all new to me and it's all learning and trying to figure out the best way to heal, the best way to line of sight people, and all that good stuff. So I'm enjoying that a lot. All right, so that will bring us to the tip of the week. We've got 6 of them this week, quite a few. I'll go ahead and start us off with Gerald of the Valhalla Guild on Jedi Covenant wrote, if you are calling in for SWTOR support on an iPhone, log into your account on the website before doing so. In the event that they ask you to do so during the call, you cannot view the security key code and remain on a phone call at the same time. You can access the app, but it will not allow you to go out to the screen that actually shows the code.
Oh, wow. I wonder if this is only on iPhone or is it an Android limitation? That's strange.
I don't know. I had not known that, but
Yeah.
because I hadn't had reason to do that, but it's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it should be easy enough to test on an Android.
Oh, so yeah, let's give it a try. And you've got a iPhone, don't you, Chill?
I do. I mean, I
Yeah.
could double test this, but I'm assuming he's correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can test it too.
Okay. All right. Our second tip is from our old friend Gas Guy. This tip is for those who have yet to do any missions on Yavin 4. As part of the primary quest chain, you'll be given a quest or mission named The Enemy Within for both factions. One of the sub-missions of that mission is a 5-step task to kill 4 level 60 bosses, and then the mission reads the following. Complete missions for Coalition Forces 0 of 6. Here's the tip. That means to go do 6 of the daily missions. After doing 6 different ones, you cannot do a repeat. You will finish the 5th step. You can intersperse the bosses and the dailies if you wish. I didn't understand all of this, and after killing the 4 bosses, could not figure out how to activate or where to go to complete missions. I actually reset the entire mission and started over again. I still had to stop and ask for help. So now you know.
I can see where that. Yeah, it would get confusing.
It wasn't obvious, but I guess when I was doing it, I just grabbed all the missions I could see, and those happened to be the dailies, and so it all worked out. You picked up the others as you went. So, but yeah, that is exactly right, of course.
Right. And if you also grab the ones that you happen to see out in the field and do those as well. You don't have to wait, like another day or another week or whatever. You can just
There are
finish it right
6.
up.
Yep.
All right. Third tip is from Avicens of the Harbinger. After being very frustrated with competition for daily goals and gathering nodes on Yavin, I've noticed that when you load into Yavin, it usually puts you into one of the most populated instances. Now whenever I land, I check the instance I'm in, and if it's red or yellow, I swap to a white instance when available. It seems like I'm breezing through the dailies with little competition, and gathering nodes are easily collected when I stay out of the yellow and red ones. Very nice.
There you go.
I do that often.
It does make sense if you want to switch to a less populated instance, if at all possible.
Yeah.
All right, our fourth tip is from Daphine of the Alpha Strike Force Guild on Jedi Covenant. Disclaimer: I believe I came across this on the official forums or another fan site a good while ago. The work is not my own, but it has helped me immensely when trying to max companion affections. Included is a list of all tiers and types of gifts, sorted by type and grade, then further broken down by name into green, blue, and purple. I heard you guys talking about the upcoming feature on the GTN that will make this semi-irrelevant, but this is the stopgap measure I've been using for a good long while. So it's even with what they're adding to the GTN, and I didn't actually check that out on the PTS, I suspect it will still be useful. I will include, it's actually an image, which is just a large table with everything broken down. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. Cool. Fifth tip is from Belazar. If you have a lot of companions with empty crystal slots, the new color crystal lockbox solves the problem. Once you've opened it and used a crystal, you can go to your collections tab, and at the bottom, under specials, just claim whichever one you need. Let's see, just claim as many. Oh, okay, that's what that. All right, I'll start this one again.
Okay.
Fifth tip is from Belazar. If you have a lot of companions with empty crystal slots, the new color crystal lockbox solves the problem. Once you've opened it and used a crystal, you can go to your collections tab, and at the bottom under specials, just claim as many as you need of them each time. Also, as these are usable by level 10 characters, and the crystals are bound to legacy, it makes them great for alts and their companions. Very nice. So, yep, pretty much solves your crystal problems right there, as long as you like the look.
Absolutely, and I don't know, I'm a little so-so on those new crystals, but yeah. And our last tip is from Jezak of the Shadowlands server. I don't know if this was mentioned on an earlier podcast, but having played since beta, I only recently discovered this time/sanity saving shortcut. And I think everyone should know it's possible. On the Republic and Imperial fleet, you can actually use the airlock elevator of any class to get the airlock ring on fleet, and there's a priority mission terminal posted just outside the instance for each class's hangar that can be used to instantly travel to your ship or to any of the other daily areas. So instead of circling around to find the right elevator, just take the nearest one, and you're just a few meters from a priority terminal. Now, we have talked about this probably quite a few times, but not for ages. So I've got to admit, the only priority terminal I ever use is whatever one it is that you get down from the elevator that's closest to the place where you quick travel to on the fleet. I think it's a smuggler one, but I'm not sure because it doesn't matter. So for a while there, some of them were broken in that sometimes you did actually have to circle around and try another one.
The trooper one especially, I think, was broken. Yeah,
but they've been solid for so long now and never think about it.
I think they've cycled through a few times of which one was broken and which one wasn't. And I remember in the past you had to go to your specific airlock, and that was a pain. And I'm glad they added in that you can go to any one. It's nice.
Yeah, those priority mission terminals, which is I'm pretty sure when it was all fixed, was just made life so much easier for everything.
All right, very nice. Yeah, it is a huge help. So, all right, by random allotment, the winner is Avicens of the Harbinger. Congratulations, Avicens. You're a winner of an M8 R3 droid or Tonfon pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. For a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Wednesday. Or do you prefer Tuesday nowadays, Tio?
Let's say Tuesday. I forgot to update the
Okay.
notes.
Okay. By next Tuesday. And that will bring us to the Hollow feed. Tio?
Alright, firstly, surprise, Double XP Weekend has now gone. So this was posted on Friday, US time, or was it Thursday? Anyway, it was just before. It ran from Friday morning US time all the way through to Sunday midnight. Yeah, so just came out of nowhere. Tate just put a post on the forums, and there it was. And the way Tate posted about it was, I think I had something in here about a 2x XP weekend. Tate dumps his bag on the floor amongst various knickknacks, patch-related paraphernalia, and a worn newspaper front page stating that the rat ghoul plague has been completely eradicated once again. He finds a shimmering gold medallion. Aha, here it is. We're starting a 2x XP weekend tomorrow. Yeah, and that's actually a hint about the rat ghoul plague. Speaking of which, that's back
I like
to...
that sneak in there, but
The
that
which?
sneak peek you put in there. That sneak peek about the Rackle event was a nice little touch.
It was. Yeah, it was. Because unless you were looking at some sites that had already kind of data mined all this, you didn't know it was coming. Because I did sort of see that, and there was no official news, of course, except for this little hint from Tate. So yes, the rat ghouls are back. I believe they're back on Alderaan. Someone correct me if that's wrong, because I haven't actually done it this week.
I believe that's I believe that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so same old, same old. It sounds like they're cycling back because we've done the other places now.
Right.
No change as far as we know. So we had a couple of messages about it, one from Rondo War. April Fools! The rat ghouls are actors actually, but the galactic government hushes it up. Well, maybe. And from Turg. It'd be cool if we actually got to eradicate them. Rather than magically disappearing Tuesday, they should just stop respawning. That actually makes sense. So you could actually go into the tunnels, but nothing would turn up because we've eradicated them.
That would be cool, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so rat ghouls are back. Could run until next Tuesday, which is the 7th of April. According to my calendar. Alright, next in the news, yeah, as you can see, there's really not that much happening this week, so anyway, choose your path. The promotion is done. It was finished roughly the end of March, so we all got our lockboxes containing the 4 color crystals, advanced black, purple, striated color crystals. Each box, now this is where it's a little weird, each box will contain the 4 with the different stats, that's expertise, power, crit, and endurance. All the same color, of course, but only one of each. They are bind to legacy, but you will get one on every character, including every new character going forward. The odd thing is, they will only get added into your collections if you actually apply them to a weapon.
Okay.
So actually you have to load them into something. So I just happen to have a spare lightsaber or something lying around on one of my characters, so you push all 4 in, they are then in your collection. You can then, once they're in there, produce an infinite number of them, of course. So
Easy
that's
enough.
fine. Now, there is an issue, a bug, where normally if you've added them to your collection on at least one character, you can then unlock them using Cartel coins. That appears to be broken at the moment, as is the preview of them in the collections interface. So, according to Tate, QA hasn't looked at this officially, but he says it's broken, so it's broken. So, yep, they will fix that, obviously, at some point. Now, also on Tuesday next week, on the 7th of April, as well as the end of the rat ghouls, we also have Game Update 3.1.2. This is basically the last update before Game Update 3.2. So we already went through a few of the bug fixes that are going to be in it. Another thing they're doing is removing those occurrences where people are still being sent planetary commendations. Remember them? Those are one of the currency that have all been replaced by basic comms now. People are still getting sent planetary comms in the mail, which are useless now, of course. And they're going to try and fix the rest.
Yeah. You get those as like class mission bonuses once in a while and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they're going to do a pass and hopefully eradicate them along with ragdolls.
Do they actually show up on your? Do they actually show up in your window if you get one?
I don't know. I don't remember. Because I haven't done any of that for a while. Now, more for the people.
Sorry, you were talking about bugs and fixing bugs, and I wish that BioWare would hire some sort of a infestation team or I want them to hire one guy, and I want them to put him in a basement, and they can feed him Hot Pockets or beer or whatever he needs, just that one guy to fix just random bugs. They don't have to put him in the patch, the patch notes or whatever, but I just want him to fix random bugs, and I want him to sneak him in every Tuesday. Like, so when I go out to farm some of the nodes on Yavin, where the crystal's like hanging up in the air, or there's one hidden somewhere, or the terrain is missing, that somehow or another he gets fed just enough, maybe like what's his name, Sloth in the Goonies. Just throw him a baby Ruth, let him fix a bunch of patches, and then just slip him in without us knowing it. That's what I want. Just one guy.
So you want a bug fixing locked up in the
Sloth
basement.
love Chuck.
Yeah, well, just to be the voice of reason briefly, anyone who's capable of fixing bugs is actually also capable of actually developing new content and new systems. So you tend to use your software engineers for that kind of thing. But you're right.
Yeah.
Right. They should dedicate.
I think it takes away. So everybody wants new content, but I do think that seeing bugs and things broken takes away from your immersion or your gameplay. It puts people in a bad mood or leads them down a path of being upset at BioWare when they constantly see things that aren't fixed. So I think if they were able to clean up some of those areas, that they would have an overall impression of, hey, no, the game's pretty solid. I rarely run into anything, but that's not necessarily the case at this point in time.
This is true. Yeah, Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets.
Beer.
All right. All right, now from the PTS, Game Update 3.2 is still there. Apparently there is another update, a big final update that is coming before they close it down. I believe the PTS was supposed to come up today, but I haven't actually seen any posts about that, so hopefully it should be up by the time you hear the published version of this podcast with some more combat changes, as well as a few other things. Now, firstly, the adaptive mounts, we mentioned last week that they're pretty much taking every speeder that isn't adaptive and making it adaptive. People were a bit concerned about the Kurtob Alliance speeder, the one that you get from the Refer a Friend, because we actually don't want that to be adaptive because it works just fine the way it is, 110% maximum knockoff protection with speeder piloting 1, usable at level 10 if you've got the thing, otherwise level 15. So they have agreed to revert that change. So the Kurtob Alliance speeder will continue to work as it does now. So,
very cool.
Fantastic.
Did anyone look to see if the avalanche mount that drops off the EC Nightmare was on that list?
No, I didn't check.
All right. I did. I saw the list, didn't look for it, and then I didn't go back to look.
Okay. The outfit designer. If you want a harsh criticism of it, listen to OotiniCast. We take the glasses 3/4 full position ourselves, and I still think it's great. It would be great if it was a gear changer as well. Remember, this was the first iteration of it, so they will improve it over time. One of the things I noticed when I was playing with it subsequently is that if you have a chest piece in an outfit and only a chest piece, what you will see is on your character, that chest piece and all the other slots are what you're actually wearing, your actual real armor. But if you do a match color to chest, unify colors, it doesn't work if the chest is in the outfit with a particular color. So that sounds like a bug. Hopefully they'll fix that. But good news, they have removed the armor restrictions from the outfits, so that means that your light armor guy can actually put in an outfit medium and heavy, which doesn't make any sense at all, but it really doesn't matter anymore anyway, so dress them up however you like.
Yeah.
Well,
If you
people
really
can
like
already.
that trooper look or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people already can do that with the adaptive gear and stuff now, so there's no real reason to
Exactly.
have that restriction. And my hope, it wasn't as much as I wanted it to be, but my hope is that it is something that they'll be able to build upon for later purposes like
Yes.
the gear changer and stuff like that. So up front, not so excited for it, but in the future, I hope that they implement a lot more with that application.
It really
It
is a
seems
perfect
that
interface for the gear changer, though, in terms of if you just had extra tabs that were, instead of outfits, the gear you're wearing, just have one or two extra of those, it'd be perfect. Completely perfect.
that's what I thought. I thought the tab system was going to fall right into a gear changer myself.
Nah, be nice. Other thing to note is that adding those additional outfits, tabs or slots or whatever, was really cheap last week, but they've made them really expensive. So it's cheap at first, and I still think that's okay. What the hell do you need 16 outfits for anyway? But it will cost you many millions of credits to do that per character, if you actually want to. So I suspect most people won't have more than one or two, and the first one is free. So whatever, that's fine. And still no word on adding weapons or adding them to companions, but both things that are being considered. Now, some surprise changes to the group finder that people would noticed. Now, firstly, for story mode operations, it seems they're reducing back to 8 players again via the group finder rather than 16.
Oh, I wonder why. Because it's so hard to get 16 people. It was hard enough before to get 8 people, let alone 16. So I knew when they made that switch back to 16, how they originally wanted, that it was going to be an issue. And sure enough, that's what turned up. And now they're back to 8 again. So I'm happy. So I might even use it myself.
I've got to admit, I'm kind of tempted as well. 16 is just a little too big, but a little too much chaos.
It never turns into a group finder. It always turns into somebody spamming on fleet, looking for X amount of people for group finder.
Exactly. The rewards have been slightly improved. 16 ultimate comms for doing a story mode rather than 14 via the group finder. And they've added level 60 versions of Terror from Beyond, Scum and Villainy, the Dread Fortress, and the Dread Palace. So I don't know what that's about, because I haven't actually been back on the PTS to step into them, just see, are they now level 60 mobs in there? Have they been scaled up? Because it looked like the 59 versions were still there, the 55 to 59 versions were still there too. These are just additions.
Okay.
So that's TBD once we can actually look at it again. Hard mode flashpoints, they're all the actual same, but the rewards have changed. You now get 6 ultimate comms for doing a hard mode flashpoint per day by the group finder instead of 16 elite comms. So yeah, and that's an easy way to start farming ultimates. And tactical flashpoints, doing the daily there, the daily reward is now 14 elites instead of 30 basic comms. So the rewards are clearly being scaled up for everything. And all the weekly missions have also had their rewards change quite significantly. Yeah, just in terms of more, for example, the weekly that you have to do 3 hard mode flashpoints used to be 10 elite, 10 ultimate, is now 24 elite and 14 ultimate comms. Tactical flashpoint is that weekly, just do the 3 of those, 10 elite and 4 ultimates, now is 20 elites and 10 ultimate comms, so etc. So everything has really been scaled up. The rewards for doing Dread Palace, Scum and Villainy, Terror from Beyond, Dread Fortress, instead of a bunch of basic comms, for each of those you're now getting 18 elite comms and 10 ultimates.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I know a lot of tanks farming B mods are really happy about this.
it makes sense if you really want the ultimate comms. Yeah. It's only natural as the content ages, I guess. So Shadow of Revan hasn't really been out that long, but unless this is what they intended all along and this is just a correction. Yeah. Alright, now also on the PTS, class changes. Now Nick Avola, the new community guy, had a few words to say on this along the lines of, for example, Sage Sork balance is, one could say they're a little bit overpowered at the moment, perhaps. And yeah, they're aware
Sorry
of
about
it.
that.
That's
It's
fine.
okay.
They're aware of it. It will be addressed eventually, so it's not like they're ignoring it. And the general direction they're attempting to go in is that the combat team will be far more communicative in the reasoning, etc. And we talked about this last week because that's what they were saying, and we're seeing more examples of this from John Dronowski, who is the public face of the combat team. Now, what he posted this week, he had a couple of major points. Firstly, everyone complaining about Melee being kind of crap as far as hard mode operations, etc. goes. He says, well, yeah, but don't complain to them. You should be complaining to the people who design the Flashpoint operations, etc. And links to that particular forum. So make your dissatisfaction known. Don't try and get them to change the classes. Get them to change the actual encounter design, is his message.
I didn't really like that message. It seemed like the left hand not knowing what the right hand was doing and using that as a defense, but whatever.
That was kind of the implication. Yeah, I saw Snicker in chat said earlier, it implies a combat team and the encounter team don't actually talk to each other. So you'd hope there's a lot more overlap than that. But yeah, but the general thing is if you have issues, make sure the encounter guys know. The class, there's not much the combat team will do. So they're just washing their hands of that. The other thing he said was DPS, people asking for DPS buffs, not going to happen for the most part. Rather than bringing classes up to the DPS level of the higher performers, what they're going to do is cut those guys down to size. So they have their optimal targets, and that's what they're aiming for. I believe they've said previously, they made that mistake before, they buffed everyone, and then they just overwhelmed all the PvE content, which was designed for that baseline target TPS numbers.
Right.
Yeah, so if they buff everyone above that, everything gets skewed, and it doesn't work anymore. Oh yeah, and don't derail your threads onto tangential stuff, because they'll just ignore it. And don't be confrontational, because that's just silly. In other words, just stay focused in the threads, and yeah, hopefully, be accurate, think critically, have evidence and reasoning to back up your position. Don't just say something sucks, full stop. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So can I have the content team's direct email address? I mean, should I address them that way? Is it my duty to direct certain departments, or is it the communities team to take that information and disperse it to who it needs to go to?
Let's say we should make it easier for all concerned by talking in the appropriate forum, because there is a forum dedicated to that kind of thing. So those guys read that one, these guys read that one. There's a lot of stuff to read.
There's a moderator between all of them, though. That should.
Yeah.
I agree that you should target what the issue that you want to get out, but there should be somebody that disseminates that information if it's misplaced.
Right. That is true, but directing people to the right place can't hurt either. Just to make that misdirection or redirection unnecessary.
But I do always agree that if you have an issue, to also have a response or a fix to the issue as well. Just don't complain, oh, this sucks. No, have something constructive to put back to, well, you could do this, in my experience, or whatever.
Exactly. Remember, the goal here is to make a better game, and that's what these guys are trying to do. They're trying to make it as good as they can. They're not trying to screw anyone or anything like that. They're just trying to make it better. So we can just help them out with as much useful information and try to make the signal to noise as high as possible. That's the bottom line. Now, he did talk about some specific changes. Again, we're going to probably leave the details of that until they're finalized for Game Update 3.2, because there are more combat changes coming. The changes seem nice enough as far as having a quick look at it. You could argue that they're not really what the community is asking for, but maybe, well, we'll go into that once they're actually nailed down and people have had a chance to try all of this, can actually say one way or the other what is the best way. And there's some changes for Marauders and Sentinels coming as well, particularly concerns with Annihilation Watchmen, which is the first top left discipline. So
Okay.
they're going to try and fix that as well. And hopefully we'll make it for the game update 3.2, at least some of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so-
have a Marauder in our group that he just loves playing it, but he's just trudging right now. He doesn't like where they're at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's our sense as well. Poor Chill had to switch to his gunslinger. But range
Well,
does make life easier.
We talked it over. Yeah, exactly. And it is easier in the fights. So yeah, I like the Sentinel too, but I like Gunslinger, so I'm easy that way. And since I had never tried the dot spec, and now I really like it on the Gunslinger. I'm digging it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually enjoyed playing the sharpshooter discipline when I was leveling. That's actually simple and very nice. But anyway, all right. Next, apparently, believe it or not, Bolster is broken. I know.
Don't get me started on that one.
Shocking. Yes.
So it turns out that you may have experienced a bit of a disparity in the middle bracket in PvP, the 30 to 59 bracket, and they investigated it. It turned out the community was right. Bolster was giving out less stats than it should be for characters of all levels. Oh dear. It was more noticeable at the lower level characters, the ones with less abilities than the higher level characters have, those ones.
Right.
So those were pretty much the more negatively affected. They do apologize, etc., and they're hoping it will go live with game update 3.2. And apparently additional stats gained from leveling were not being accounted for in this is 3.0 Shadow of Revan going forward by Bolster before this fix. And people were asking, so why don't we have a 30 to 49 and a 50 to 59 bracket anyway, because of the additional abilities, etc., that you get? And it kind of boils down to they could easily, but the problem was the population would then be divided into between two brackets, where it's currently one, and so your queue pops would be that much longer. So it's just a matter of, would you rather have a fair match and wait longer, or have a quick match and get steamrolled? So
Well, basically, it
Right.
boils down to common sense, which everybody knows that if you shrink the level gaps, add more playing fields that not that many people is going to be queuing, you're going to be waiting longer in queues. Nobody wants to wait longer in queues. That's already an issue. So we know that they're going to bring out, hopefully the better than cross server or cross server, whatever it's going to be called, hopefully to be out this year. Once that happens, then they can adjust the levels accordingly to who you're playing with. That's kind of a known if you're paying attention to the community and what's going on in PvP and whatnot. The other thing is,
sorry.
you would hope. I can never figure out why Bolster is such a problem. I know I'm not a programmer, and Tio, you might be able to comment on this. If you strip down a character with no gear whatsoever, and you place stats based on each slot that's there and whatever level it is, it should not matter. If you built it that way, it should not matter what that person put in your gear slots.
Mm-hmm.
Except for when you put in an expertise piece of gear, that it would then overwrite what that current stats are. So if you build each character from a base just based off of level, that there shouldn't be ever an issue with Bolster. Maybe that's too simple of thinking.
No, not at all, because we sort of expect that really is the way it should work. But the reason it's a problem is because what they're actually trying to do is take your current distribution of stats, however you've decided to arrange it, and bolster that up. So what you're gaining by this system is if you choose to stack alacrity for whatever reason, and there's now plenty of good reasons to do that, it will be reflected in the bolstered stats. If they just went with a baseline idealized stats, you would just have the same as everyone else.
And then we would have to play off. And then we would have to play off a skill. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk.
Imagine that. What are you saying, Kuzay? This crazy talk.
You take your logic and you get that out of here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so you can see the advantage of the way they're doing it because it really does allow you to have that extra ability to tailor your character in a particular way, like heavy crit, heavy whatever.
But if you're going to do that, you should do that with PvP gear and expertise gear. So therefore,
doesn't
once
really-
that expertise gear is in there, then it
Right.
should overwrite.
But there is no expertise gear prior to 60 that has any meaning. So
Then everything should be baseline, should it not? I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's still.
yeah. Now at level 60, that's a completely different story. So that's where we've set our piece on this before. So anyway, so that's an alternative approach to bolster, which would make a lot more sense, particularly at level 60. And if you really wanted to tailor your stats, you get the PvP gear and do it that way. Otherwise, you just get baseline. That would be my preference. Leading up to 60, baseline stats kind of work too, but this way you can actually play with it a little bit.
I'm just upset because I have to go out and hunt down some 168 gear so I can actually be competitive until I buy some expertise gear is all.
All right, so bolster broke, better 3.2. Quick summary. Last SWOTOR story. Never fear, Kai Zyken is here. Now, who the hell is Kai Zyken, you may ask? Well, if you played through the Shadow of Revan storyline, you will encounter him fairly early on in the first part of the Rishi main mission line. He's like the third or fourth mission, I believe, you encounter him. He's this, well, the Brits would call him a smarmy git, but I'm sure there's an appropriate term for that. Anyway, comes across a bit of a used car salesman. So anyway, what he is offering, there's a news post on the site right now. It's called Go Big, Go Small, Go Nowhere. And Kai Zyken is also a connoisseur of all the galaxy's finest things, apparently. And today he's going to share a few of his favorites. So he's got a new line of sleek and unique vehicles. Some are large, some are small, and some are, well, you'll see. So let's talk about the large ones. Mega Mounts. Have you ever been speeding around the vacant space dock in your Coriolis, thinking to yourself, if only some brilliant vehicle maker could give me a way to take up even more space? I look really important and attractive. Great news. I have the solution for you, introducing Mega Mounts. The example given in the pictures is a sand crawler. And they're pretty mega.
Full size.
That's right, it's not too good to be true. With my first ever Mega Mount, you too could have your very own sandcrawler through my patented steering mecha system. What used to take an entire team of Jawas now only takes you. Of course, some people have said to me, Kai, why not just make vehicles that can fly? To them I say, what does it matter when you're cruising 10 stories off the ground? Yep. So apparently fall insurance is not included if you get one of these. So next, in addition to Mega Mounts though, he also has Micro Mounts. If you're not into Mega Mounts, you see something like Sandcrawler and think it's too big and too clunky, you need something small, something sleek, the type of vehicle that will make most people say, how does she do it? It's like she's gliding on air. She must be royalty. Oh no, random onlooker, she's not royalty. She's got herself one of Kai's Micro Mounts. Transports, combat droids, even Rancors, and I made them all small. In fact, their smallness is guaranteed to increase your relative stature by 57%. Unverified scientifically. If you like small and cute, then Kai's Micro Mounts are for you. And finally, and this is my personal favourite, stationary mounts. Now, I'm sure most of you passed out from overwhelming excitement by all of this, but for the truly discerning and still conscious among you, my last offering is the line of the most unique of all. Have you ever looked around your luxurious Nar Shaddaa stronghold and spotted your favourite chair, or perhaps seen a beautiful tree on Belsavis and said to yourself, if only this was a vehicle? Well, now it is. New line of stationary mounts, you can find everything from luxury chairs to crashed asteroids. They all have one thing in common, they don't move. That's right. New vehicles will move at a whopping 0% movement speed. You heard me right, 0. It's like I always said, why go everywhere where you can go nowhere? So there you go. Thank you, Kai. Now, Tate Watson did chime in for answer a few questions from the community on these new line of mounts. And he did actually get these directly from Kai, so they have been validated in that respect. The micro and mega mounts are adaptive, and the stationary mount has a minus 100% speed rating. Micro mounts convey a minus 20% to knock-off protection, and you can only be knocked off mega mounts by sharpshooter gunslingers and marksmanship snipers. If you mount while moving to a stationary mount, momentum flings you from the mount, dismounting you. So don't try that. And as for breaking the universe, one of Kai's product testers tried using the mount while moving onto a stationary mount up an incline on the Rishi docks, and they were completely removed from the Galaxy. So please use at your own risk. So there you go. Thank you, Kai, for that excellent addition to the game. Looking forward to that. I hate April 1st. Anyway, outside of SWOTOR, just a bit of Star Wars news. We mentioned that it had been confirmed that Star Wars Battlefront will be shown at Star Wars Celebration. They have said that you will actually be able to see the trailer. They're actually doing the panel at Star Wars Celebration on April 17th, and it will be kicking off at 10:30 p.m. Pacific in Anaheim. That will include the official reveal trailer for Star Wars Battlefront. So here you go. I wonder if any of our guys will actually get in there to see it live. Hopefully it will appear on the internet shortly thereafter. So it should be very cool. In book news, there's a new book, Star Wars... Lords of the Sith by Paul S. Kemp. And it actually is, well, your mileage may vary on this one. The synopsis is, when the Emperor and his notorious apprentice Darth Vader find themselves stranded in the middle of insurgent action on an inhospitable planet, they must rely on each other, the Force, and their own ruthlessness to prevail. Emperor and Vader on a planet together. Anyway, we'll see. And included in it is this really cool little graphic which shows all of the canon novels and TV stuff and how it all fits into a timeline. So I expect this to expand over time, but this particular one, Lords of the Sith, is set after Revenge of the Sith, the third movie. So yeah, right. And before Tarkin.
Prior to this, the timeline of canon was something like a 4-page spread.
Yep.
Remember, little bitty print.
This is your chance to catch up on what is real Star Wars canon, because all that EU fanfic is now out the window. So hopefully they'll be getting a few bits of it back. And yeah, start over. Though at the rate they're producing all these comics, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to keep up with that stuff.
Right.
But at least the books and the movies, yeah, shouldn't be too bad. Interestingly, they included Battlefront as one of the elements in the timeline. So you wonder if there's going to be at least some kind of storytelling in Battlefront. We'll see. Now, I mentioned in passing there is a line of Star Wars toys that have come out. For our audience, it's probably, you won't want it yourself. Maybe you've got some kids who you're trying to bring into Star Wars. Some of them are a little bit dodgy, but yeah, anyway, I'll link to it. So there are toys out there, as well as all the figures from Star Wars Rebels, etc. So plenty of toys once more, and if you're a collector, obviously you'll pick up all this stuff. And last bit of news is for a new game for phones, basically. Android, iPad, iPhone, and Windows Phone. Someone actually did something with Windows Phone. Isn't that cute? Anyway, I did try the Android version. The game is called Star Wars Rebels Recon Missions. It is a 2D platformer and is as pretty much awkward as any touch-based platformer is. Maybe it's just me, but I'm being old-fashioned, but it's kind of cool, kind of fun. And if you're into that kind of game on your phone, it's very well done. So whatever. I'll link to that, of course, if you want to pick that up. It is free, and however, there is some stuff that you can pay for, of course. It's just the way these things work. Now, a bit of community news. Firstly, some guys in Russia, yes, Russia, have created their own discipline calculator on the web, It includes class abilities and things, and it is excellent. Really, really good. It is pretty much at least as good, just a bit faster than the version that Dolphy offers. Now note that Tor Community also have their own discipline calculator as well, so now you have 3 to choose from. I'll link to them all. You will find them on the sidebar of OotiniCast.com. But yeah, fantastic work. Now I actually asked the guys, the Russian guys, so which client do they use? Given there is not a SWTOR Russian client, there is only English, French, and German, and apparently typically they use the English one. So depending on what language they happen to know, their second language. So interesting.
I'm wondering if that's the same one that I've been using for a long time. They used to do the talent trees, and now they're doing the discipline calculator. And it's a great app. Maelstrom. I'm trying to look at my phone to see exactly which company actually develops it. But I've been using it. It's awesome. It allows you to save disciplines if you want to set up PvP and PvE and things like that, so you can go back and look at it.
Oh, wow.
It's been out in the App Store. That's the Android version. It's been out in the App Store for a long time.
Could you send me a link to it later?
Yeah, I can do that.
I'll include it in the show post. Cool.
Okay.
Now, lastly, in community news. So you may notice that we don't do advertising for the most part. So if you want to use Amazon, we do have our Amazon affiliate stuff set up. OotiniCast.com/Amazon. If you want to buy anything from Amazon, we get a little bit from that. Though something that has become a bit of a thing among podcasters is a site called Patreon. And we've set up OotiniCast with, I've just basically in the last couple of days got this going. Mm-hmm. So there is patreon.com/OotiniCast, or you'll see a Patreon button on our left-hand sidebar. Now the way Patreon works is it's kind of a way of donating to your favorite podcasts, and however, you don't actually give money up front. Instead, every time the content creator actually publishes an episode or whatever, because Patreon can be used for all kinds of things, whatever amount you have pledged is sent to the content creator. So usually it's like $1 an episode. So every time we publish an episode, you get charged $1. You can actually cap it. So for every month you will only ever allow more X amount to go out each month, that kind of thing. So anyway, we're trying it now. For each pledge level, it's not just out of we actually give something back for it. What we're thinking of doing is that for one level, the $1 pledge per episode, we give you access to our show notes, the production show notes we use for the show, and give you the ability to comment on them. So you can see them evolve over the week leading up to the show and put in your own comments. So that's just a kind of mini reward. And then for the $2 per episode, you get access to the edited show, which is usually less than 24 hours before, so it's just an extra bonus in addition to the $1 thing. So anyway, we're trying it out. It's just a way of providing some additional funding for the show. So yeah, check it out, patreon.com/OotiniCast. It's got all the details. Anyway, that's the news.
Alrighty, that'll bring us to the forced feedback where we read out your tweets and emails. And first of all, let me give a shout out to the chat room since I did not do that earlier. Ben_B55 is here, Dirty Spoons is here, Darth Bundlefly is here, Fiona Gas Guy from Nevada is here, Kuze and Kuze_fan is here, so I'm not sure what that's about. Lito is here, Sashari is here, Zamzam, the PvPer is here, Ari is here, Belazar, Darth Dow, Dekian, Dread, Elion D, Ganglerton, Kahana, Mark_SWTOR, and Palace are all here. A lot of familiar names there, and some folks over on the twitch.tv/OotiniCast. Hopefully I'll get most of the ones who've spoken. Anime Geek, 1007 Face, Snicker R, and let's see, Dick Rat, G-Land, and Jamalman. So hello everyone. Also, for the chat rooms, if you have any questions to ask, we'll be gathering them now to answer once we're done with the feedback. So, as far as the tweets go, Viz tweeted, just listen to OotiniCast and it's good to see other young SWTOR fans contributing to the community. Keep it up, mix up pixels. Awesome. And let's see, Kranatoka wrote, "It's here, better late than never, the pack opening video for the Masters Shadow Packs. Enjoy!" And there's a YouTube link, and I have not had a chance to enjoy this yet, so I will enjoy it, but I have
Me
not
too.
yet.
Yep.
It's good stuff.
I do not miss a Kranatoko pack opening video, that's for sure. All right, Cal wrote, "So this finally happened. Yay! Galactic Legend. It's a level 60 bounty hunter, Imperial agent, Jedi counselor, Jedi Knight, Sith Inquisitor, Sith warrior, smuggler, and trooper." Very nice. Whew. Yeah, I'm about halfway there, so I've got a ways to go. And let's see, Ufalong wrote, "I had often wondered at one point Chill would run out of superlatives to describe the show in his intro. You may have a clue as from the beginning of this episode. I estimate each intro includes about 10 words from one of the Star Wars movies. Based on this analysis, there are 1,695 words in Episode 4, but I would guess that less than half of the word count would actually be usable. I'll guess 850 words per film, and since there are currently 6 films, you have a pool of about 5,100 words to draw from, or about 500 shows worth. However, in theory, you've already used about 200 of them, leaving you only 300, which is still a good number as it is about 6 years of content. In any event, it's a good thing they're releasing more movies, so you'll have plenty of one-liners to choose from."
I guess there's no reason we couldn't draw on Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars or anything like that as well.
I wonder if
I
he.
suppose.
I wonder if he calculated your wild card in today. I wonder how long it extends. You know, when you throw in a few wild cards like that.
That's true.
Yeah, you have to throw it. Well, there's always a few ways to get around the rules. I make the rules, I can break the rules. So.
Yes, indeed.
But it's nice to see math being used to solve this problem, or at least point towards the potential of a problem in the future.
It's very
The
Ufalong.
naivety, yes.
Very fun.
Let's see. Descartes wrote, "I just caught up with the podcast. Is Zios full of gathering resources like Yavin, or is it more normal?"
Now, from what I remember, I don't actually remember seeing many resource nodes at all. When I was going through it, they were there. There just weren't very many. So nothing like the craziness, which is the western part of Yavin 4. Or Yavin 4 itself, generally. But I'll have to go back and check once the PTS is back up.
All right. Greg wrote, "I missed the last Rakghoul event due to carpal tunnel. Ouch. Yeah. So now
He's
6
feeling
months
better.
later... Is he better? That's good. Yeah, carpal tunnel is nasty. 6 months later, I finally have all the mounts and pets from Jilvik. Wow. Very nice. That's a lot of dead Rakghouls. And Greg also wrote, "Hey guys, any idea what is the most cost-effective way to make MK10 kits is? I want to stock up in order to augment my legacy gear come 3.2. Andrew from Sotor Economics wrote him back. "Farm green mats on Yavin, craft and then re-engineer 168 earpiece implants or etc. And then for the components, craft the MK10 kits. The only cost is time and the gray supplemental crafting material involved."
Well, this time around with the crafting, before it was the Cybertech that had the advantage where they were using less mats to create greens to reverse engineer to get the components to make the MK10s. But this time it's all even across the board.
Yeah, every single green
So-
is 222, basically.
Really,
So
whatever crafting class you have is fine.
It's nice to see
Where's
them
it?
learn from that.
yeah, agreed. Where's that music coming from, Kuzay? Is that you?
No music anywhere.
It's not me either.
Oh God. All right. Yeah, and also remember, don't ever buy those white mats from the vendor. Make sure you use your appropriate mission skill to go and get them. It's far more cost effective for the higher level ones anyway.
Right. Although they sell pretty well on the auction on the GTN, I must say. I've definitely sold some
Really?
that way.
Wow.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
People will buy anything.
Mm.
Buy anything. That's right.
What server you on? I can give you some if you want.
Let's see. Kortoth wrote, is 1060 levels too many? I just got the Marauder level capped. I should probably pick a faction and a main now.
Yeah, I thought I was doing
yes.
well as well, but since Brian's got 18,
Yep.
there's always more.
At some point, you kind of have to pick a main, I guess. I mean, if you're gonna, at least if you're gonna do operations or ranked PvP, otherwise it just takes too long to gear everyone up.
I have 4 more level 15s.
So you're pretty well capped out on the server, basically.
Yeah, I'll probably just PvP them up.
Why not?
That's a fun way to do it. Let's see. Sanu wrote, tweeted a picture, and it looks like
I did this. Can I do this one?
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do this one, Tio.
Now, you may remember we had a tip from Sanu last week about the Rishi dailies, and I happened to ask him in game. Or he answered me in game about. I was wondering was he still doing the Rishi dailies, and he said he's leveling 5 lobies at once and has a stool, and he's a bit of a crafting slacker, so he needs the comms. So that's why he's actually doing the dailies for the basic comms, I guess.
Yeah, that's a lot of lobies to level.
Yeah.
Does he need the comms to gear him up once they get to higher level? Is that the idea?
It's an easy way to get into 186s, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, yeah, okay. All right, Gas Guy wrote, hi, fellow Codex hunters. I just found out that there are unannounced codexes on Yavin 4. Upon completion of the battle with the big guy, you are awarded a specific title for your class. What is different is that you don't get the normal mid-screen pop-up with any text. It's simply a line in the chat window. I got through 2 characters before I realized that was happening. These new codexes are all titles. We have identified these. Smuggler title, immune to prosecution, which is funny. Knight title, Jedi Battlemaster. Trooper title,
cool.
Chief,
Which is cool.
Yeah, they're all pretty cool. Trooper title is Chief Military Advisor, very nice. Consular title, Master of Hidden Knowledge. Inquisitor title, Dark Council Elite. Bounty Hunter title, Above the Law. Imperial Agent title, Sith Intelligence Commander. And Warrior title, The Empire's Wrath. So not the Emperor's.
Wow.
I guess not the Emperor's Wrath anymore,
Exactly.
but now Empire's Wrath.
Or the Empire's Wrath, depending on how you pronounce it.
That's right. Since they do speak, they do speak in the British version over there,
It's Wrath.
on the Empire side. And now we know. A big thank you to Darth Wicked who provided this information. See posts on the SWTOR forums in the story and lore section for more on Codex hunting. And is that what the link is for as well? There too?
That is Gas Guy's post, yes.
Beautiful.
And Darth Wicked would be an amazing person to have on the next spoiler cast, because his knowledge of the story is profound. So
Beautiful. Chong wrote, what the F is happening? And then he has links to a couple of vines.
yes. Now, these are worth watching, because what it looks like is there's just hanging there in the air, and this was somewhere on Rishi, I believe, he told me, it looks like what Casmus and Force Chuckle both identified as remotes, like Luke was being used to train Luke on the Millennium Falcon on the way to Alderaan in Episode 4 in New Hope. So a whole sphere of these, there's a whole ton of them, and they're all shooting what appears to be little bolts at a point on the ground. A swarm of remotes, yeah, exactly. It's clearly a bug. Well, that was the obvious explanation. There's no reason why they should be like that. I thought it was just some sort of graphical thing, like you're looking behind the curtain to see this is the underlying graphical setup to actually generate a particular effect. But when you look at them closely, you can actually see they're actually textured quite well, so they actually look like remotes. So, don't know.
Yeah. And then there's a dead body on the ground near where the remotes are shooting. I'm not sure if it's related or not.
Maybe there was supposed to be only one of them, and they just kept replicating rather than erasing them or something.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. The videos that you posted.
Yeah, a
That is
good
cool.
spot. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. And do you want me to go? We already kind of talked about what Casmus and Force Chuckle referred to. Okay. Charlie Kranatoko wrote, I'm wondering if anyone has any idea whether this is a small bug or intended. It's a silly small thing, but it just has me curious. When you send mail to a player, it costs 5 credits. When you send mail to a player with an item, it costs 10 credits. And yet I've managed to get away with sending an item to a player for 5 credits, even though it clearly states that it costs 10 credits. Thoughts?
So I tried this out because I was curious, and he's absolutely right. So when you first start a message, the cost up the top says 5 credits. If you add an attachment, it says 10 credits. It doesn't matter how many attachments you add. You can go fill up all 8 slots. It will still just say 10 credits. When you mail it, you're only charged 5 credits, regardless.
Okay. I've noticed the 10 credit thing, but I never bothered to see whether it was actually charging me 10. That's funny.
I mean, that's such a extreme thing to be paying attention to. That's like me going into my change drawer or something like that and be like, oh, there's 5 pennies missing. Who the hell took my 5 pennies? It's just, I don't even know how he noticed it. That's amazing. Good job, Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, wow, I would even assume to look at it. It's like that, whatever. 10, 5, whatever it is.
Exactly. Which is why we've missed it all. Yeah. And I assumed, actually, when I first saw the system, that each time you add an attachment, it would just charge you more and more. So it actually costs to send more items, but it doesn't. And in fact, it's not charging you anything extra. So, whatever. Somehow I don't think they should... Your Hot Pocket guy could look at this one.
Yes. Hot Pocket guy, Baby Ruth Sloth could take care of this one right here. Charge it.
All right. Let's see. We'll get on to Stephen's email. Stephen wrote, I've been a long-time listener and fan of the OotiniCast podcast. Please keep up the outstanding work and continued contribution to the SWTOR community. Thank you, Stephen. I have a situation that I would like to pose for comments and maybe some guidance. I currently run a progression team running through the new hard mode content. Our team has been together for about a year. When we started, it was just for fun, running through story modes and just having a great time going through all the various content. As with, I'm sure, many of the fun teams, we made a decision to move into the harder content. As we pushed through operations like Scum and Villainy, Terror from Beyond, and so on hard modes, we started using parsers as a tool to determine how we're performing. What became evident was that there was one DPS who was underperforming and showed a very big gap in skill, DPS numbers, raid awareness, standing in the stupid, and so on. The other 3 DPS were putting out numbers and performing above the minimum requirement, and sometimes far above, while the underperforming individual was performing at a rate far below the minimum DPS requirements for hard mode and nightmare mode. We eventually pushed through all the hard mode, pulling this individual through, because as the leader I didn't want to upset anybody. We never did push out any of the nightmare content, and now we're just pushing through some of it. It loses its appeal as a progression team when you can't knock out content on release, and you have to wait until you're overgeared in order to have a reasonable shot. We're now pushing through these new hard mode ops, and it's extremely difficult. We've knocked out the first couple of bosses on each op, but hard modes Sword Squadron and Bulo are operations where awareness is key. Needless to say, we're trying to find ways to work around it, but I think we've hit a brick wall. Although this person is open to trying to improve, hitting the dummy and so on, the performance is just not there. This individual in these new operations is typically the first one to die while standing in the bad, and the DPS numbers are just not there. This individual's performance has not improved that much since we started pushing out pre-3.0 hard modes. It is starting to wear on the other members, and something may need to be done, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
This may or may not be an eerily familiar situation to some of us, but...
So I was going to go. So the numbers haven't changed since pre-3.0. We all know that there was a DPS decrease after 3.0. So basically the numbers that you were doing, if you had the gear pre-3.0, they did a reduction. So it was similar to the healing as well. I feel that the same numbers that I was putting out pre-3.0 was pretty much the same numbers that I'm putting out now or just now crossing. and Brian, since you're farther ahead than we are, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I think that really, if you don't put enough time into this game as far as hard modes and nightmare modes are concerned, you're not going to progress as fast as you would like to. We've only put what did we put in on Sword Squadron the last time? Maybe 2 hours or so. I mean, it seems like a long time, but in progression concerns, it's really not that long. So we didn't pass them. So we're still learning the dance. And I think in this game, if you're not on top of it and you're not top tier and you don't put in the hours, then you're going to be stuck pretty much at the level that you're sitting at right now. And trying to blame one person I don't know.
These operations they've doubled in the fact that they are DPS checks and they are stay out of stupid checks.
Yes.
So before, a lot of them they were just stand and bangs, if you were. The occasional run out of something, nothing to. Here, a lot of these, you're just constantly moving from one area out of something else into something else, out of something else, and if you have a player that is underperforming DPS and can't stay out, it's really going to hamper. You're going to lose a lot of morale, if you will.
Right. To me, the issue came when you switched the focus of your group, because originally you were doing story modes and it was a casual group. When you started to get more serious and go into the harder content, but then you didn't change your style, your management style or anything else, all of a sudden now, you could have gotten lucky and just everyone, came right along for the ride and had all the skill and so on. But it sounds like this one person is just not really able to keep up. So the question is, if you're still wanting to do the harder modes and wanting to do the more difficult content, then you're going to have to change change gears in terms of management and figure out how to get this guy up to where he needs to be, or find a replacement if indeed you want to keep doing the harder content. So yeah, this happens in companies too. If you have little startups where it's like, it's the person who started the company, then they hire just one or two, people who, all are really raring to go with them. But at some point, the company gets a little bigger, and then, all of a sudden they hire a couple people who don't work out as well. But if they expect everyone to be along with the ride and they're not willing to go back to being a smaller company, then it can actually cause real problems. This is the sort of thing that happens in growing companies all the time, and I think it's sort of happened in your case as well.
In Steven's example here, this exact example happened to us when we were doing Nightmare Brontes. We had a DPS that was underperforming, and we had made the choice, maybe because we were lucky, like you said, and people always just came along, but we finally hit that point because we were like, we don't kick people out of the group, right? We're going to progress, we're going to get through. We have in the past had always just gotten through it by luck or by friends or whatever, and we had to make that same decision that he might have to make, is either you want to progress or you want to be more social or casual, if you will. We made the choice to progress, and we switched them out.
Well, and that's where your biggest decision lies with your raid team. Does your raid team want to be one that pushes through? And everybody wants to get the boss down, of course. That's, basic common sense. Everybody wants to get the boss down, but is the purpose of your raid team to get people together and have fun, talk about politics like we do? I think we probably talk a little too much in a raid about politics and things, but we're having a good time. And that's our sole purpose for the raid, is to come together, have some drinks, get a boss down or two, whatnot. But then there's other teams that they approach it as a business. You have to apply, you have to meet a certain DPS rating or heal rating or whatever you want to, whatever numbers you want to meet, and we're going to get this down because that's our mission. So if your mission is to achieve the goals of getting each boss down in a certain period of time, then of course you need to let that person know, hey, we're trying to do this. You're not meeting those. You're not meeting this criteria. We either need to ask you to step out or to step up. And if you're going to ask somebody to step out of a raid or something along those lines because they're not performing, just don't. There's a lot of people out there that will just kick you out and just be assholes about it. And I hate to say that, but that's true. So some people might not actually know what they're doing wrong. If you inform them time and time again, don't step in this, don't step in that, or let's optimize your gear, and they don't meet those needs, then of course you have the data and whatever else to say, hey, look, we've tried, it's not working out, and we're going to have to find somebody else. But if it is a raid group that you want to have together to have fun, then keep the person in there, help them out. Yeah. So you need, the very first choice is, what does your raid group want to achieve?
Yeah.
It's a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, it is. For a raid leader, it can be a tough call. But I would say always give them a chance to, and there's various things you can do. You could fraps a fight, video the fight from that guy's perspective, get him to do it, or from someone else's and show him what he's doing wrong. Maybe it's something as simple as his UI setup, where it's just the way it's set up and he's just tunneling on his action bar. Maybe a clicker, no offense, Kuze. And that's somehow preventing him from moving out of stupid or something like that. Who knows? But at least help him to help himself.
I tell you
but
what,
if that doesn't work, you got to make the hard decision. Yeah.
I'm a clicker, but I'm hybrid, and I would probably blow the game up if I actually use the keyboard with awesomeness. So I don't know if I should do that or not. Keep it as it is.
I reckon it's worth the risk. It is.
Yeah, probably.
Any more thoughts on that?
No, I don't envy him's position he's in. It's a difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's one of those that becomes harder the longer it goes on. It sounds like this has been going on for a while. At some point, if the other people in the group are more of the hardcore and they really do want to push forward, eventually they will leave just to find a group, that is more in tune with them. So, I mean, at some point it's going to get solved one way or the other anyway.
That's true.
Unfortunately, but not in the good way. So.
And this is the bonus of having things like damage parsers. You can actually identify where the deficits are, and videoing fights as well. That's becoming more and more a really useful tool. So make use of all of those.
I agree with the videoing, but I seem to have a bug on my computer. If somehow or another I make a mistake, that it just gets wiped off of my computer, and I've tried to hunt it down and find it, and it's just gone. So I'm sorry for that. I'll try to hunt that down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a lot different being a tank before to being a DPS this year, as I've switched over, and I find that I hate being like anything less than about second on the DPS, even if there's a reason for it. Like if I have to run the bombs in the Walker fight, which I haven't had to recently, but I've done it before. And it just kills your DPS, and I just hate seeing that number go down. So, hopefully the DPSer will sort of get in line, but we'll see.
If you want to make yourself look better, use star parse that counts as that damage you do to the walker to your damage on your parse.
Ah, okay.
Parsec will show you as like 2.9, but star parse will show you at like 3.8.
The star parse have a real-time option now, so you can actually share between raid members. We're still using Parsec for real-time.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I'm the guy in the group that doesn't get into the Parsec. I know what I can do. We're at the point now where we all know where we're at, so I just follow along myself. They're always asking me, like, dang it, Surly, get in star parse or Parsec, whatever it is. I'm like, all right. About 3/4 of the way through the raid. But I don't know. I can't answer your question.
All right. I think that's a show. Unless, let's see. Tio, did you notice any questions that need to be answered?
I didn't, though I'd like to thank Dennis for being our second pledger or patron on Patreon. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, that's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevia's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. Thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Brian and Kuze.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
It's good
Thanks,
song.
Down under.
There's no way I can get rid of that either. Now, keep recording, everyone. Kuze, could you... Actually, Brian, do you want to give us an Utini Rage? Or shall we give...
Brian, do it.
Kuze?
Rip it out.
Utini Rage.
Good.
Very good.
Excellent. That will
Good to
do.
me.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We should be back for episode 199. Our guests will be Sashari and Darkblood, actually, Warchild. So look forward to that. 2 more listener first-timers. So that is working really well. If you want to be on the show, just be a guest like Brian has. And I suspect, Brian, you'll probably see him again sometime in the future. In fact, Brian, if we talk about hard mode raids in the future, we may bring you on. If
I would appreciate
something
that.
change in that. Yeah. Because you are clearly an expert in the area, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just email us, OotiniCast@gmail.com. We've got a little mini audition process I've worked out, so it's really easy, but actually sorts things out really nicely for the live recording. So anyway, have a good week, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.